Hey there, it's Tobiasz. Today I'm still in an unusual setting. I also don't have my motorcycle with me because I'm trying to limit riding to a minimum. But don't worry, we'll be back to motorcycles soon. And just to be clear, I'm not in the woods. I'm at home in my own yard. It's spring, which means it's the time when many of us will be choosing a new motorcycle helmet. A lot of you are wondering which motorcycle helmet to pick for the new season. And with this video, I'd like to help you out a bit. This video is sponsored, but I hope it's sponsored in a non-intrusive, non-pushy way. I'm not going to try to convince you to choose a particular brand. Here, on the contrary, I'll encourage you to try on as many helmets as possible and to test them out in the store so you can be sure that the model and gear you choose are suited to your needs. Let's start with what kinds of motorcycle helmets are available on the market. There are a lot of helmets, but we divide them into several types. First of all, there are open face helmets, which are perfect for classic motorcycles, choppers, and old-timers. Classic jet type helmets, a helmet with a visor, a helmet in which you'll have much more airflow inside compared to a closed helmet. This type of helmet will definitely work great on scooters, classic motorcycles, but also practically on any bike, as long as you simply feel comfortable in it. Besides that, modular helmets, very popular flip-up helmets. A modular helmet is one where the chin bar, that is the front part, lifts up, and thanks to that, above all, you can talk to someone easily. You can have a drink, you can get some fresh air, for example, at a stoplight, but most often these types of helmets are not certified for riding with the chin bar open, so we need to keep that in mind. Of course, there are such helmets on the market, but we need to pay attention to this when buying. And even if a helmet is certified for riding with the chin bar open, I would still encourage you to ride with it closed, because your face is the most exposed part during a fall. Full face helmets, which are the type of gear most often chosen by you. It's no surprise because there are the most of this type of helmet on the market. That's one thing. Secondly, they are the safest due to their solid construction, usually the quietest, and above all, the most versatile. With this kind of helmet, you can ride practically any motorcycle and you won't attract any surprise looks from bystanders. And then there are dual sport helmets, my favorites, because of their versatility. When I'm riding off-road, I take off the visor and put on goggles and I ride without any problems. But when I want to go faster, I remove the peak and put the visor back on. Thanks to this, the helmet is simply more stable, performs better in terms of aerodynamics, it's quieter, and it's just more comfortable to ride. And I often choose these type of helmets, for example, when I'm going to test several motorcycles, when I know I'll be riding off-road one day and, for example, on asphalt the next. This type of helmet gives me that flexibility, although we have to remember that it won't be as quiet as a full-face helmet. It still won't be as versatile as a modular helmet, and it won't provide as much airflow as an open-face helmet. So it's a compromise, and often if something is meant to do everything, well, you can answer that question for yourself. Personally, I still prefer this type of solution the most, but what you ultimately choose is entirely up to you, of course. I've already mentioned that I'll help you pick out a motorcycle helmet that fits your head this season, because contrary to what you might think, it's not as simple a task as we might expect. It's not just about buying a helmet based on looks. At least that's not how it should be. I understand that there might be a model or a graphic design that you really like and would love to have. I have my favorite graphics too, but unfortunately I can't afford to buy those helmets. I can't even test them for the magazine because those helmets just don't fit my head. And now let's move on to safety. So it seems that the more expensive helmet we buy, the safer it will be, and that's simply not true. Sometimes a helmet that costs $300 or $400 can actually be better for you than one that costs $3,000. Of course, that's a big simplification, but let me explain what I mean. If you pick a helmet off the shelf that you like and choose a size, let's say M or L in my case, that doesn't mean the helmet will fit your head the way it should. Imagine that I spent several months saving up for this model, for this particular graphic. At the store, it turns out that the size L actually fits me, and generally everything seems fine. After an hour of riding, it turns out that something is pressing on me somewhere. And in reality, when you're choosing a helmet in the store, it should always be a bit tight because it will loosen up over time. But if during the fitting within half an hour or 40 minutes you feel a hard pressure here, on the top of your head, unfortunately, that won't go away, and that sensation will always be there when you ride, and it will simply distract you. And now we smoothly move on to the most important thing. Of course, a helmet is meant to protect you from the consequences of an accident or a fall, but above all, its design and characteristics should never contribute to causing one. So the more comfortable it is, the better you'll be able to focus on riding. If it presses or pinches you anywhere, it will distract you. Now imagine you have a 400-kilometer route ahead of you, and it might turn out that you'll be distracted the entire time. You won't be able to focus on riding because you'll constantly be feeling pain. In my view, riding like that is very dangerous, and I'd rather have a cheaper helmet on my head that doesn't distract me than the most expensive one that pinches. It's very simple. Unfortunately, choosing a helmet isn't that simple. So how do you choose a motorcycle helmet? First of all, we should start by measuring the circumference of our head. We measure the head circumference just above the ears, and in this case, let's go back again to this full face helmet. Size L fits a head with a circumference from 59 to 60 centimeters. Unfortunately, this doesn't mean that this helmet will definitely fit our head well. The measurement of our head only means that we start trying on helmets from size L. It may turn out that the L is too big or too small for us. In such a case, we should take another helmet from the shelf and try on a different one. It might turn out that an XL fits better, or perhaps an M will be the best fit. With more expensive helmet brands, we can even encounter options where we can swap out the cheek pads for different sizes, tighter cheek pads, looser crown pad, that is the part located at the top of the helmet. Thanks to this, we can maneuver between sizes. Remember that a helmet breaks in over time. It breaks in quite significantly. A well-fitted helmet is one that when you put it on your head doesn't move well. It will move on your head, but only by pulling the skin of your scalp. It will move together with the skin of your face and skull. So if you move it, it will change position. But under the visor, you'll notice that this movement happens along with the movement of your skin. It's unacceptable for the helmet to shift while your head remains still. Movements like these in the store side to side won't let you be sure if the helmet fits properly. Because if the helmet moves around like that, it means it's at least 2 sizes too big. You put the helmet on, try it, and check whether it moves on your head. If it doesn't move, you sit in it for half an hour, 45 minutes. Who cares if the salesperson is giving you a weird look? That doesn't concern you. You try it on again, check, and sit in that helmet. If, and I want to emphasize this again, you feel pressure here at your temples or anywhere in this part of your head, let it go and try a different one. Remember, you're buying a helmet for several years. Cheap helmets made from thermoplastic and similar materials last up to 5 years. After 5 years, we should immediately put them on the shelf as a display piece or throw them away and buy a new helmet. More expensive helmets, of course, can be used for a longer period, for example, 7 years. But remember that most often, even if you have a modular helmet with a shell made from the best materials, the chin bar is usually made from thermoplastic. So after 5 years, once again, we say goodbye to that helmet and buy a new one. I hope I've explained everything. I really got into this conversation about helmets. Let me show you how to choose a motorcycle helmet. I already have the helmet on my head, and at first glance, everything seems fine. It feels comfortable, nothing is pressing on me, but when I grab the helmet with my hands and move it like this, it turns out the whole thing shifts. So it's simply too big, and that's not okay. A bit of looseness, like now, when I gently move the helmet and the skin on my head moves along with it, might seem okay, that it's just a small amount of play. But remember that after 500 to 1,000 kilometers, the helmet will break in and become even looser. So in half a year or a year, it will simply be too big. Check if the helmet's fastening. Hopefully you can see this doesn't press on you anywhere, that everything sits as it should. Here we have the most popular type of fastening, the micro lock, the one with the notches. It's very easy to fasten and very quick. In helmets, you'll also find the double D or DD, sometimes called the double D or simply D fastening. And it is currently the best fastening on the market. It may seem like the cheapest option, since it's just a simple threading through 2 buckles, but there's a reason it's been used in motorcycle racing for years. It simply offers the greatest security. And after a short while, you'll get so used to it that using the DD will really be no problem at all. Still, the micro lock does the job as well. If you've already carefully chosen the absolutely right helmet size and meticulously picked your dream graphic design, the very next crucial step should definitely be to thoroughly check this essential feature, the integrated sun visor. It's responsible for making sure your eyes aren't blinded by the sun's rays, but it also helps keep bugs out in the summer when you're riding with the visor open. Still, remember that you should ride with the visor closed. But it often happens that when the sun visor is lowered over your eyes, it stops at your nose and causes discomfort. So before you leave the store with a new helmet, check whether this bothers you, whether this kind of solution causes you any discomfort. There's one more very important thing I can't fail to mention as someone who wears glasses. So whether the glasses you wear every day will fit inside the helmet. Of course, many people ride with contact lenses. I ride with glasses because for me, it's an extra layer of eye protection against bugs or sand. And I haven't yet come across a helmet that I couldn't fit my glasses into, whether it's an enduro helmet or a full face helmet. Imagine a situation where after a whole day of riding, you come home exhausted like the devil. You walk into your house and the helmet slips out of your hand, falls onto the concrete and the visor mount breaks. That's about the worst way to end the day you can imagine. And now, here's the thing. If you have a helmet from a reputable company, then you can easily call them or send an email like, hey, send me a visor mount, send me a sun visor or its mechanism or the ventilation. I'll install it myself because I want to get back to riding as soon as possible. I don't want to worry about it. I just want to have a helmet I can ride with. But if you buy a helmet from an online auction and that helmet has no support in Poland, then in that case, you have a problem. And now imagine that you only ride on the warmest days. Imagine, regardless of the conditions, that the riding season in our country is still very short. And now imagine that for a month you don't have a helmet. All right, my dear friends, I wish for all of us that soon we'll be able to meet again on our motorcycles, to meet on the roads and ride without any complications or dangers. I also wish that we'll be able to record videos with motorcycles again. I deliberately didn't use a motorcycle for this video because it's Saturday, and knowing myself, if I even touched the motorcycle, I'd probably get on it and start riding, and I'm trying to minimize and ride as little as possible. Right now, that sounds terrible, and I can hardly believe what I'm saying myself. I guess I'm already old. Have a nice day, a great week, a good spring, and above all, I wish you and your loved ones good health. Take care and goodbye.